Speaker 2. I would like to invite the august presence of today's CMA Dr. Prasanna Acharya, the chief guest of the validatory function, who happens to be the NLC director. Welcome you for this technical session 6, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I take the pleasure to invite for the excellence I cure, who has been CMA Mr. Gopal Ramanan, sir, who is the Vice President and JAPAC Control Oracle, to take over the technical session of 6 as the speakers 2, sir. Please, sir.
Thank you for us. I don't see it as a challenge. I would say it's an opportunity that's available today. Be a finance person and we call cost and management accountant. We change the name, CMA, everything, but we focus more on the C side. The M side, let's move on. And that's where the AI will help, because some of the things what we do as a cost, data collation, everything can be done by the machine. I just want to rush because the paucity of time. What are the skill sets? So it's nothing new. Everybody knows what we have to do. Only thing is we don't do that, right? I've been talking on leadership and other stuff, but everybody knows what we have to do. The moment we leave this room, we forget everything. So that's where even when you do a course or something, how you implement in your day-to-day, or if you have a passion, say I have a passion to do something and you do it, but if you don't continue, then it's not a passion, it's a wish list. So don't waste time on wish list, focus on your passion. If you're really serious about what to do on the thing, as you was mentioning, there are certifications there. If you are bothered about taking certification, go to LinkedIn. There are so many free courses for an hour, 40 minutes. What is AI? What is ML? Take those things and then see whether it fits in your scheme of things. If not, leave it, right? Don't bother too much and the stress level will go up. And then financial modeling. I see when I recruit people, CMAs, they don't, because you come with you got a certification, you learned something, you cleared an exam, but when you want to do, you have to skill yourself using various tools, the modelings and all, when you're getting into the financial roles. Because some of the routine things are being done by the RPAs and the MLs. Strategy. When we are talking about AI, ML, it's not the deployment. We need to know where to deploy the strategy. For example, when you upskill yourself from a strategic point, when you put something and arrive at some data and get an information, what you make it. For example, sales strategy. We need to get involved in that. We always know what's the tagline of the CMA Institute, but how many of us do that? So strategy, get into that level of strategy with the organization where you are working, or if you are a consultant, you are more than that, because you can talk on any of the operations in the organization. This is something people think the high level of automation, but this should be the basic one, which ML and AI can do it. You need not do it. And I get at 8 o'clock a push from my ERP. What is my daily expenditure? What is the sales for the region? What is the expenditure? What is the net profit margin? 2 minutes, that's it. And if I see, and there is a column which says, what is the movement from yesterday to today? Finished. I don't need to do anything unless I wait for somebody to come and say, Gopal, I want this approval, can you do this, can you do that? Most of the time, outside the organization, talk on technology, but in office, we talk IFRS, Ind AS, and all those stuff regularly. Analytic, be analytic, and when you're doing, this is what I was talking to some of the chapter members, when you're doing the cost audit report, include diagrams and all those stuff, and give some analytic about what you understood from that. One is the complaints, and second, you can give the management a report, what they can do better. Usage of technology. You ask me what, I don't use any technology. Start with Excel. Don't use Excel as a document. Use Excel as a database. Move on, Tableau is there, Power BI, there are so many tools which are available to do the data analytics, because you work day in, day out with the data. Oops. And awareness. As he mentioned, right, keep aware what's happening. ChatGPT. When he asked, how many of you use ChatGPT, right? I didn't lift my hand because I don't want to. The thing is, if I need, I'll go. Otherwise, I'll seek someone who has done this one. And do the leadership role. Unless you feel you are a leader, you can never do that. And leadership is not a position, it's something that people perceive you as a leader. When someone looks up to you, that's where you feel that you have become a leader. And being a cost and management accountant, we should be looked at as a finance leader, whatever may be the role, whether you are an employed or you are a consultant, whatever may be the role, you should be looked at as a leader, the go-to person. And this is famous, but those who are on the last row can't read it. You can't do today's job with yesterday's technique and expect to be in the business tomorrow, right? So you need to change, and the change has to come from within. I didn't say that, you know who said that. Natural versus artificial. This came up something in the morning with one of a person sitting here. Today he said, I lost the habit of writing, even typing. Whenever I need, I just go to ChatGPT, get it, and then done it. So there are people who says, like my friend Sri was mentioning, right? He just Googled what is a challenge. So most of the time we end up looking at the first one which comes. Have you ever noticed in the Google when you say first, when you look for some television or whatever you want to buy, the first three will be the sponsored one. And we always go with whatever we see first. So go below and then use your natural intelligence to pick out what, because if I blabber something and if it comes first, then you will take it. So ChatGPT is a boon, but if you don't use it and you fully rely on that, it becomes a bane. So you need to balance between the two, use it wisely, use your intellectual, that's where we get into the professionalism. Should I adopt the technology? I'm good in finance, do I need to do? Yes, it's compulsory today. It's machine learning and AI you need to learn, because that's what, I made it a different one, but after yesterday's Sridhar's presentation that AI, I have to change it, and I changed it in the morning, this one. And it's compulsory. It's up to you whether you want to take it or not. You need to follow that one. And it's not meaning like you need to understand and do a course in Python. How many of you use Excel? Okay, how many of you don't use Excel? Right, you. How many of you know the architecture of Excel? 1, 2. The architecture behind how it works, how the coding. Good. So out of them, only 3 are there. You need not know how the Excel works. You need to know how to use it. Right? You don't need to know the technology beyond Honda and Toyota. But you should know how to drive the car. So that's where we need to get the expertise. This is from today's newspaper. I'm not going to take you through. It's a government one, you can read it by yourself. How government is also focusing on the job market and how the labor market will get impacted because of AI. The big question whenever I talk on AI ML is, in the Q&A, this is the question, that's why I want to put it, whether my job will go. 100% your job will not go if you upskill yourself. If you don't upskill, definitely it will go. It will not go, it will be taken by somebody. You will be only letting it go. It's not somebody grabbing from you. So I just open it for Q&A, which I want more on this one rather than a monologue. I don't know how much time we have. So what you want to do is, maybe you want to do a fireside chat. We normally do it in the CFO forums. Take a cup of coffee and start questioning each other. It's not a panel, and believe me and Sri know each other very well. But I didn't see his PPT till he reached this place, and he didn't see my PPT. So it's all independent, and we never bothered who's going to do first and all. I thought when he said first I was to do, but I saw the logic, he explaining what is AI, and then I talking of what we need to do. I said, that's why I said, Sri can go first. So want to take a Q&A, or you want to ask questions, that's what we planned first. And we don't know what questions to ask also, and I don't even know what he is going to ask.
Then I think the audience will jump in with their thoughts as well. So one of the fundamental things which kind of I was processing when you were out there discussing is, being from a technology industry itself, right? being from a company which operates so much deeply into it, what's the tech industry perspective that you would like to share from what's happening in the AI ML world?
Of the tech industry, because tech industry is too big and it goes into the supply chain, everything is now automated. And as I was mentioning, I just get a push from the ERP, what is the daily status of my P&L. So there's nothing, it's just machine pushes. It just pulls the data and pushes to you. When we did the ATM, right, in 99, we did that IVR, Interactive Voice Response, and that company I was the head of finance. So they said even automating was like, it's machine says, if you press 1, it goes to that and then get the numbers. Later on, ICICI and HDFC, where we are doing it, and they had a heavy presence in the western side. So they said, if Gopal presses every time Kannada, the fourth time it will ask, need not go through, press 9 for this and 2 for this and all. Do you want to continue with the Kannada? I said, okay. Then it goes to the next level. Today, if you see any ATM, if you set a favorite, I want to draw 10,000 rupees, it says, you want to draw? Press it, pin, you get the money. So it saves time. So AI/ML saves your time. It never takes your job. Unless you don't take your job seriously, it will take away your job. So somewhere where we have to put our natural intelligence and the subjective matters. Suppose the machine can take something and give you a situation, but in the financial decision, machine can give you the one, but ultimately you have to take the decision. But some of the things, automation, people get confused with the RPA and the AI/ML. Repetitive process you can just automate, which is there for long. Some of the things, suppose you submit expense report. Every month I submit my internet bill, say 1,500 rupees. Fourth month, it need not go to my manager. And next time the entire company will say, why the manager has to approve and waste the time. You scan, today you just scan in the mobile, open the app, scan and then submit. Next day it get paid. Manager even doesn't know that it goes to them. Because no need for that, because they know the machine will learn the pattern. Gopal claims, okay, between 1,000 to 1,200 every month. Suddenly if there's 1,600 something goes beyond the limit, it may go to my manager for an information, not for approval. The manager can say, okay, hang on, pull that, withdraw that one. So this is where some of the smallest thing I'm talking about. But if you look at AI/ML can sit on top of the database and it can pull whatever data that you want and then give it to you in an informed manner, and then where you can take the decision. I can go on, but this is something from a finance side, and how it helps is, as I mentioned, the reports, whatever we get, the month-end close review process was cut down. When I joined, it was like 5 days we used to do close, but today we close 1 day. And we are the first one to publish in the S&P and also in the New York Stock Exchange. NASDAQ, we are the first one to publish. We publish on the 8th calendar day of the month, the results, provided it's not a weekend. So that's a kind of efficiency that we want to bring in. People may ask, why do you want to cut short the time? Why can't you take 20 days to publish? I can spend time on seeing the next 2 months full rather than spending time on the past.
Right.
Maybe I want to ask you a question. You mentioned about the certifications, right? So what people should start with? Certifications and all those things available free. But is there something that, suppose they are brand new, they don't know what is AI/ML, where they can start?
See, honestly, thankfully, the jobs are still there. Now, on a very serious note, I kind of tried to cover wherein I said the lines are getting blurred. That you will typically see more of finance guys becoming, I would say, more of the technical consultant kind of thing, moving on to the tech side. Similarly, you have engineers coming on the data side. To the folks who are already there, I got a degree, I got some X years of experience, I'm at a certain stage of life and career. It purely depends on what's the path that you need to take. If you need to take a path, for example, we have seen a lot of FP&A kind of jobs coming up, wherein there is an absolute need to be tech enabled. In the sense, you need to know your Power BI, Python side of it, right? So to that question as to what exactly is the skill that you need to know, it depends on what kind of role are you doing. And be in tune with your business, be in tune with the industry, and of course be in tune with your own company to understand what is that technological path that particular institution is taking. Also, honestly, it's pretty democratized path. It's not that that everyone is going, for example, you have heard enough about the DeepSeek, but you start looking at the DeepSeek adoption, I think after the hype, the reality is there were many questions, right down to one very simple question which came as to, you can download, but you need to have a Chinese phone number. Now, where do we go here? No, so sometimes it's probably double clicking, triple clicking is where you will probably get the right answer. There isn't one size fits all answer to it. To each individual, some of these basic parameters that you need to look at, I repeat, what is your core skill? I kind of gave the example of if you're in FP&A, you need to know a few of those core IT skills. Or if you're on the core costing side, try to align with the company, the industry, and that tech path it is taking. I hope that answer.
Let me also jump into this conversation. Why you two people alone should take
No,
away
we want to set the context.
also do that. Let me also share that role along with you. See, today most of there are two questions from my side on behalf of them. Whenever the application examples are being given, it's always coming from a transaction and operation side, whether it is even ERP, analytics, or even for that matter AI. I see very little use examples, use case studies at a strategic level. Is there any source available which has documented at a strategic level how AI has been deployed? That is question number one. Question number two is, if there is any agency globally or in India which documents case studies of AI deployment, wherein institute can join as a stakeholder or as a networking partner, I request both of you to suggest, because institute leaders are there with us today, they can become a networking partner or a stakeholder. Ensure that CMA related case studies are documented at this three level, transaction, operation, and strategic level, and it becomes a huge resources of a value addition to all those future generations who want to enter this line. These are the two questions.
You want me to? But let me give my perspective on strategy. Strategy, at best, is abstract for most of the companies. Believe me, I had the opportunity of being in IBM, where I used to work close to 1.5 decades ago, wherein I was part of an annual planning session done at IBM. And we were in a room full of execs and the CEO of the company in India discussing about what's the strategy. So strategy sometimes can be a zero-based budget. Also, it could be there's already a budget and how do you tweak it. So taking the same parallels on the tech side, honestly, there isn't any particular tech that can address strategy. Strategy stems from the word strategy itself is typically is a response to a market action. It comes from the military parlance and all of that. Given that each industry company has its own, I would say, reaction to how to kind of look at it. I haven't seen any particular.
So that means there is a huge opportunity for the CMA and as well as the institute to come up with some knowledge base at a strategic level, which can be a huge value addition.
Absolutely. A quick reaction to the second one in terms of where exactly does this repository of knowledge reside today, and can we kind of tie with them? A difficult answer. We probably need to. I can't unfortunately answer it quickly on this forum at this juncture. But LinkedIn, I feel, is one of the most pragmatic places to look for data of the order what you're looking today. And LinkedIn apparently has now become a place where most of the professional participants are there, either trying to discover or to even distribute. So maybe that will be a good starting point to look at. And in fact, I have already, many of the occasions in my interactions with the institute, I have told that I don't know how many folks are there on LinkedIn. Maybe a count of people on LinkedIn. Okay, I would ideally want this number to be 100% number, right? Still probably we are at around 60%. So how much of content on LinkedIn has gone about this event, for example? Maybe there are some other institutes who probably would even do a live stream on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, to your question, is probably the number one place where we can start, and there are knowledge forums within LinkedIn who could be a good starting point to connect. Thank you.
Okay. Just to answer the question for a long time, right? And the strategy is maximum is 1 hour. Within the race, you need to take the strategy. Do I need to change my tire? Do I change to a mild or it's a hard tire? When I take the pit stop, where I have to apply my, okay, let me not go too technical into the one. So the driver has to see, I have to overtake the person who is ahead of me, and strategy has to be done, and it goes with big data. What is my headwind? Where is my next person? And it all been fed into a system and give it in a concise manner to the driver to say, guy, just step on the gas. Boom. He has to do it. So this is where when you talk about strategy, there's a long-term strategy which a company can have, but the quickest one I can think of is the sailing, and then our Formula 1, which our company is also having that one. So one is that one. You have the Red Bull one, Mark Verstappen, and all the people, they use the data so precisely to guide the person to take an informed decision to see how they can do. And you can see, if you watch that one, if you not watched, just see in YouTube there, because the person will keep in touch with the team behind the Formula 1 team. So that's a kind of AI ML usage in terms of strategy, which I can't think of any other thing, which is you have to take the strategy within 1 hour, and within 1 hour you have to do 100 times strategy one. That's a real-time strategy which I can think. Thank you.
Please.
It's a time for a question hour session from any of the audience, please.
Is the employer looking for the young talent when you hire? And also I would add on, like, how are the other countries looking the consultants from India to deal with the AI, whether they are using AI in their consultancy, if you can add on.
I think honestly hiring decisions are made significantly on an operational sense, in very few cases from a strategic sense. So operationally, it is still about the definition of the role, right? You have a certain role and you have a talent to fill the role. We typically look at in only two boxes. One is the job description. You got to get a job done, and you have a skill fitment, education, experience, so on and so forth. Based on the changes and shift in the job description, the skill will change alongside. To be very honest with you, we don't see a very significant change in the job description of many of the things. You're still, from a finance roles point of view, we are still doing an accounting, operations, compliance, reporting, the four broad boxes for us to play in finance. Within that, the reaction is more in terms of what's the other participant asking you. For example, the adoption of the technology within each of the area. For example, let's take the example of an operations in the form of an AR or AP function. If you are a company who talks to another organization which is on high-end tech and they are asking you to adopt, you will start adopting the same. Maybe sometimes it's driven by association, sometimes driven by competition, various of those. There you start tweaking the job description, right? We still don't see it as a very significant change, but it is slowly, it's in the air for sure, wherein especially as I will keep repeating that, especially around high-end analytics, FP&A kind of roles, there is very clearly a pathway which has been created where the ask is for not just someone who did high-end FP&A, but if you have done FP&A, have you done anything on Python? Have you used Power BI? If yes, you will be a chosen candidate. I think those kind of slow changes is what we are seeing. I hope that answered. Thanks.
I think we can have. When I was in 5th year old,
I have started learning Kannada Lipi. It is called Kannada Varnamala. When I was in 5th standard, I started learning how to write English alphabet. When like that, Hindi at the 7th standard. My question is whether my grandchildren need to learn how to write lipis, or it is still enough they understand recognize the lipi, and what is the literate under AI regime?
Your name and telephone. Today, do you know? I don't even know my wife's number. If my battery is gone, I don't know how to call her also. So whether the grandchildren, they need to study that subject itself. We don't know. Now that becomes an optional, extracurricular, maybe the language. Now the communication will be on the mission language than our mother tongue. Everybody raised the hand once Mr. TCA was asking, what is the expansion of ChatGPT? Nobody knew. So things are going, and tomorrow maybe that political and all those stuffs will be there, read and write. Tomorrow I don't think that you need to, because most of the time when I'm stuck in the traffic, every day, I just open my email, press the speaker and dictate. And then just press send. Even a long mail, I just dictate. Only thing you have to have clear pronunciation, that's it. So things are becoming, and that's what I said. Today we don't know how to write also. How many of us can write in Kannada, the original one?
No, we can write.
Few.
No, we can write, but see, AI has been in place for over 3 decades or over, because earlier, then also there were calculators. The output is a result of AI only. Now, as all of us know, whatever is not used for a long time, it will become redundant, and the God may stop creating such things. Now, 1 in million or 1 in 10 million intelligent person creates some artificial brain, artificial intelligence. And the rest of the million or 10 million are using that. So, nowadays, to make the things easy, to feel their work is easy, many people don't want to use their brain. Yeah. Instead, they want to use the brain created by somebody else, so that for the next generation people, whether that brain will be required or not. Now over the last 4 or 5 years, we have been talking only about artificial AI. Not that it was not there earlier, it was there. But every 5 years, something is changing, and there is a mass history about that. Now everybody is talking about AI, but how many are really using it? And though we are using some AI, how many people know that that is the result of AI? There is a situation. So that what I'm asking is, what happens to the human brain of the next generation?
Brain itself. Maybe I'm sure with Trump's administration back in the next 4 years, you will see something happening for sure. To that question. This is a neuro GPT may come.
So ladies and gentlemen, we have reached to the final
Just one question.
part of this technical.
With AI and agentics, they are telling that 2025 is going to be the year of agentics. So in terms of org structure, I am told that there is going to be substantial change because agents are going to take over certain areas of work. So how do you perceive the organization structure changing with the advent of agentics?
Yeah, maybe it takes a lot of time to explain that. There is a McKinsey report, maybe I can share it with them, how the co-worker becomes, AI becomes your co-worker. So it's there, and the study says you are only going to give it to them, but on a thing, the study says I think 37% can be with the invisible co-worker. That's why I put that the robo and the person sitting and working together. So it's going to happen. Some of the stuff will be done by them. What we can do, that we need to upskill and do. That's what the main topic is. But it's going to happen. It's not. I'm not going to say it will not happen. It's going to happen, and it's there. The report was 2 years back. I think it was 2019 because I presented in Malaysia 2019 when I came back.
Hello. From both the conversation, Number one, I have two key takeaways from both the sessions. One, you have reduced the stress level of compelling ourselves in running into the race. Rather, you have given that comfort and flexibility of mindset that we have to align but take your own pace to do that. That is the best key takeaway that I can say. And coming to your side, once that mindset is prepared, I wanted to do AI, but I was desperate to do it. I didn't know where to start. I was kind of influenced by your conversation first, and I'm settled. Okay, I need not rush, but I need to action. That's it. Coming to your session, I'm super impressed with the way you started the session or throughout the session. It was not a regular session. It was very catchy, very attractive, and very much drawn to it. So it was wonderful in that way. Yes, it was informative. You gave me one advice of starting with Power BI or Python. I will experiment on Power BI. This is what my heart says as of now. I'll investigate more in it. Another response to the question, there is no replacement for the younger generation.
I request the delegates to keep short in their questions,
Yes,
please.
yes, no question. It's a... Please bear 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Coming back to the open question, which has to be, since it's a discussion, I want to be part of this discussion. Coming to that question of what we should give to my kid or whatever, we have to learn the technology, but we should not forego our culture or whatever. So we have to take both hand in hand. This is what I will train my son, who is 3.5 years. So we need to make sure they fit in the current trend. They have to learn as well as they have to learn the culture. So it has to be balanced is my answer.
You may get an answer. I have never used ChatGPT.
I have been given a phone by one of the gentlemen here to just maybe put a concluding content on some of the human and tech side of the thing. So I'll probably hopefully finish in 15 seconds. So what's the fundamental difference between tech and the human race? Will human brains evolve or not required and chip will do? I think thanks for the content. I'll just do the fact of reading out. That's it. It says, even though AI and technology are advancing rapidly, and by the way, this is a ChatGPT answer, unique qualities of human, please listen to these words: creativity, intuition, emotional intelligence, and I think the most important word next, ethical decision making. I think these are the ones which are fundamentally going to be irreplaceable from the point of view of human intervention. Thank you, sir.
Demands in this CMA arena for this questions propelling to the speakers. I go to the last part of this session as it's my duty to go for the word of thanks, and I do not have to say anything because we are late for the validity function, and may I take the pleasure of inviting CMA Ms. Manasa to hand over the memento to CMA Mr. M.R. Rajshekar, the chairman of CMA Mr. A.N. Ramanan. I sincerely thank you for all the support of the system. You are making an excellent sector of this technical session. I really congratulate you on it. Ramanand sir. on this occasion to have an excellent secure today, deliberated, and just I would like to call upon and invite CMA Mr. Hassan. I would like to further take upon CMA Ms. Kotai from Hosur chapter to kindly come and felicitate the second speaker of the session. I'd like to call upon Talent Free Solutions Bengaluru. You have really been an excellent speaker of this session, sir. I'm really proud of you for this occasion. Thank you very much, sir. Even before going for the validity function, I would like to call upon and invite CMA Mr. Rajesh Devareddy to give the budget highlights.
We have arranged 15 minutes budget 2025 analysis by Rishabh Jain. Now I Good evening, everyone. Good evening to all the critical on and off the still look fresh at the end of 4 o'clock. I am sure the sessions earlier were interesting. Quickly coming to the topic, it will be a 10 to 15 minute session just on the budget highlights. I'm sure the professionals here will look into the detailed notes later. So, one specific quote from FM's speech today, which indicates the genesis of the budget, I would rather say. It was Viksit Bharat, and they had pointed out 5 basic pillars of Viksit Bharat, which was the proposition of today's budget. It was zero poverty, 100% good quality school education, access to high quality, affordable and comprehensive health care, 100% skilled labor with meaningful employment, 70% women in economic activities, and farmers making our country the food basket of the world. In the last few budgets, we have seen a tremendous change where the finance minister has tried to implement more from an employment perspective, from healthcare, which has been given more emphasis. So this was basically the budgets, and various allocations were based on these 5 fundamental pillars. I'll quickly run through only the taxation perspective which was brought up. Now, in the speech, there were a few highlights, few of them very welcoming, few of them we have to see how it is going to get implemented. The first and the biggest one was taxpayers with annual income of rupees 12 lakh is not required to pay tax under the new regime. So they have given a rebate, the new tax rates have been prescribed. So up to 12 lakhs if your annual income is there, then because of the rebate, the net impact of income tax will be nil. The next is, because of this, the impact was foregoing revenue of about INR 1 lakh crore in direct taxes and INR 2,600 crore in indirect taxes. The next and the big one was a new income tax bill. This is not the direct tax code, it's a different bill which is going to come on the path of Indian Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. That was the promise made by the finance minister. Now, what were the specifications indicated? it will have half the chapters and words as compared to the present law. We all know how voluminous the Income Tax Act and the rules is, though it is quite a settled law, but then there's always a need for the law to change, and hence this proposal has come and the bill is likely to be introduced in a week's time. Next, new bill to be simple to understand for taxpayers and promote ease of administration. And then last is rationalization of TDS and TCS rates and increase in thresholds. Now coming to enhanced limits for MSME, the Finance Minister and the government has laid a huge emphasis on MSME, which they do believe is a huge employment generation and a revenue generation. Hence they have increased the limit for both investment and turnover. For the current investment for micro was 1, it has been increased to 2.5, for small from 10 to 25, for medium from 50 to 125. Correspondingly, there is also an increase in turnover from 5 to 10, 50 to 100 and 250 to 500. Now, as I was indicating, there has been a change in income tax. The slab rates are now as follows. Up to 4 lakhs, it will be nil. Then 4 to 8, it will be 5%. 8 to 12, it will be 10% with eligible rebate, which will bring the net effect to 0. Next is 12 to 16, it will be 15. 20% will be 16 to 20, 25, and then 30 will be about 24. So this is the new tax rate which will be implemented effective from the next financial year. Now, few other changes where annual limit of TDS on rent has been increased from 2.4 lakhs to 6 lakhs, which brings it down to 50,000 per month. So a person who is receiving payment of rent up to 50,000, the person who is making the payment is not required to deduct TDS. Next, period of incorporation for startups is increased by 5 years to enable startups to incorporate before 1/4/2030 to claim deduction of 100% on profits and gains for 3 consecutive assessment years out of 10 years. This has always been there. Now they have increased the incumbent period from which was about to lapse to 1/4/2030. Next, decriminalization of delay in payment of TCS up to the date of filing of statement. This was done in light with the earlier TDS decriminalization. TDS was decriminalized, TCS has also been bought at par. Next is omission of TCS that was applicable on transaction relating to sale of goods. Now there was always a dispute because there was a TDS and a parallel TCS on the same sale of goods. Now they have clarified that only TDS will be applicable. However, the exception is if you have not submitted your PAN, then TCS will also be applicable. Then a very sector-specific benefit for ship leasing units, insurance officers and treasury centers of global companies set up in IFSC. Cut-off date to claim benefits and IFSC is extended to 31/3/2030. So they are all looking at 5 years from now. Next, transfer pricing, a welcome move for professionals because you do not have to visit the TP officer every year to get the transfer pricing confirmed. Now what they have said is reference to TPO for computation of arm's length price will be done in a block of 3 years. This has been increased from 1 to 3. The SSE must exercise an option for the above effect. This is yet to be prescribed. The TPO shall issue within 1 month the order and declare such options. This will reduce compliance and administrative burden. Now, the way they have prescribed is the next year and the subsequent 2 years are what is going to be considered in this block of 3 years. Again, subject to the conditions, there is no change in either the transaction, the holding pattern or any of the other factors which we do consider while determining the TP value. Next, again a welcome move, time limit to file updated returns for any assessment year has been increased. So earlier 2 years were given for you to reassess your income and file a revised return. Now that has been increased to 4 years. However, they have said returns cannot be updated if a notice has been issued under section 148A for conducting inquiry in cases where the escaped assessment exceeds 50 lakh INR. So again, a welcome move, so you can have additional 2 years to reassess your liability and file your revised income tax return. Now, we'll quickly move to the changes in indirect tax. Now, they have rationalized the customs tariff. A number of rates were prevalent which led to a lot of confusion, and I would rather say also the implementation, and it wasn't a trade-friendly measure. Basically, the number of brackets under which the customs duty was levied, they have now brought it down. The removal of 7 tariff rates, which is beyond the 7. So 7 were removed earlier, again 7 more are removed. Hence, we are currently left with 8 tariff rates, including the 0 rate. Next, levy not more than one cess or surcharge. Hence, proposal for exemption of social welfare surcharge on 82 tariffs which are subject to cess. Now, as we all know, customs duty, we had BCD, we had SWS, and various forms of cesses. Now, there were certain products which were subjected to both SWS and cess. Now, they have said that 82 tariff items will be exempted from SWS, which means they will be exigible to BCD and the cess only. Relief on import of drugs and medicines. Major relief for patients suffering from cancer, rare diseases, and other severe chronic diseases. 36 life-saving drugs and medicines added to the list of medicines fully exempted from basic customs duty. 6 life-saving medicines added to the list attracting concessional rate of duty. Full exemption and concessional duty applicable for manufacture of bulk drugs. Specified drugs and medicines under patient assistance program which are run by pharmaceutical companies are fully exempt from BCD if the medicines are supplied free of cost to the patients. So, though an individual had that option to not pay customs duty if there was a for his personal consumption, but subject to the condition of tariff, now they have included a lot more items in the tariff specifically for chronic diseases including cancer. Now, new 37 medicines along with 13 patient assistant programs will be added, which will mean that in the forthcoming years we will add few more line items to this already existing exemption list. Now, amendment to customs, again, we have seen one amendment in income tax which has increased the time limit for redoing your self-assessed income tax liability from 2 to 4. They have brought in something very similar in the voluntary compliance. I'll come back to the provisional assessment. In voluntary compliance, what they have said is post the clearance, if the importer feels that he has not declared the correct liability, maybe in terms of value, rate, or anything, he has an option to declare the same, pay the interest, but no penalty. This shall not be applicable where the department has initiated proceedings, and the time period for this is 1 year. The first one is the provisional assessment. Till now, there was no time limit under Customs Act for finalizing provisional assessment. Now they have specified a timeline of 2 years. This is a trade-friendly measure. It will also increase the documentation required, because what happens is you do a block finalization of assessment after 3 years, 4 years. Now you will have to do it at 2 years. Even the department is compelled. Sometimes what used to happen was the assessee used to submit the documents. Department did not have time limit, so they used to not process it in a time-bound manner. This is a provision which will now make them do it within 2 years. Now, payment of duty under revised entry, the relevant date in case where the duty is paid under revised entry under section 18A is the date of payment of duty. Now, why is this relevant? Now, I made a self-assessment, cleared my goods. Within 1 year, I have gone ahead and redone my assessment indicating some change of either HSN or value. Now, after that, the time limit will start, which means the assessment time limit of 2 years and 5 years under section 28 will only begin after I make the amended bill of entry filing. Now, changes with respect to settlement of cases. Interim board for settlement constituted under Central Excise Act has been added as an additional authority for settlement of cases. Similar amendments in Central Excise were done in relation to the same authority. Earlier we had Settlement Commission, which was done away with. Then they have brought in an interim board, which is now the body which will undertake the settlement of cases. Then extended time use for end use. There are certain exemptions which are eligible only if I satisfy the end use condition, which could be import, manufacture, end use, or import and end use. Now, there was a time limit of 6 months which was prescribed. Now, that has been amended. They have said instead of 6 years, you will get 1 year for to produce the end use certificate or to show the end use has been achieved, which was intended to. And also the returns for this, which were filed on a monthly basis, have moved to quarterly basis. Very brief on the changes in the customs rate. We have just captured few of the major items and the new rate and the old rate. Articles of jewelry and parts thereof, from 25 it has become to 20%. Synthetic flavoring essences and mixture of odoriferous substances used in food and drink industries, from 100 it's been reduced to 20. Motor cars and other motor vehicles principally designed for transport of persons, from 125 it's been reduced to 70. Lab chemicals, this is very specific to chapter 98, has been reduced from 150 to 70%. And the last is solar cells, which is reduced from 25 to 20%. They have also, on the other hand, increased tariff rate for specific commodities. Knitted fabrics is one. Second is IFP, interactive flat panel displays. This they have increased from 10 to 20%. There has been always a dispute whether an interactive flat panel is either a TV or a computer, because both of them attract different rates of duty under GST and under customs. There is a lot of litigation going on this point. So to bring maybe a parity in the industry, they have said the customs duty is increased to 20%. One corresponding change they have made is if you import LED modules and make a flat panel here, the import of LED modules, the rate, very few amendments, but anyways, we'll quickly run through it. The first is RCM was not allowed to be discharged by an input service distributor. The law has now been amended where an RCM liability can be discharged by an ISD for corresponding subsequent distribution to respective units. Next, time of supply relating to vouchers has been removed. A move which we will have to see what has happened, because the Supreme Court, Karnataka High Court and Supreme Court have taken a view vouchers are not subjected to GST per se. This was the provision which was relied upon. Obviously, that taxability has been clarified in a circular, but removal of this section would mean that they may have to bring in some other provision to cover this lacuna which has been created in time of supply provision. Next, we are all aware of the Safari Retreats decision which read this provision as is, the plant or machinery in 17.5C versus plant and machinery in 17.5D. So everyone who had constructed a mall, constructed a warehouse was eligible to take credit. The government has made an amendment now to say a retrospective amendment to read plant or machinery as plant and machinery, and they have specifically stated that this is notwithstanding the judgment passed by any court of law, which means the position changes and now those entities who have availed credit may have to reverse it, and department can initiate proceedings in light of the amended law. Next, there was no pre-deposit required if an order only confirmed penalty, no interest in tax, only penalty was there, no pre-deposit was required. An amendment has been made that 10% pre-deposit is mandatory for to the extent of penalty imposed also. So if I have a penalty of 1 crore, I have to pay pre-deposit of 10 lakhs to entertain the appeal. Same thing, if I go to the tribunal, I have to pay additional 10 lakhs. This is to bring it at par with the erstwhile central excise and service tax regime. Next, a unique track and trace mechanism has been introduced for certain goods to be notified by central government on recommendations, and penalties of 2 lakhs or 10% of the tax payables on the such goods has also been prescribed. Now, we are not aware what would be the goods. Likelihood they might be those goods which are prone to tax evasion, could be tobacco, could be gold, could be all of those which the government feels is prone to tax evasion. They may bring it under this section. He indicated this was pharmaceutical is still governed by there's a board which governs it. This is very specific to tax laws, so maybe the indication would be for tax. Could be pharmaceutical, very much, could be. Next, they have inserted one more entry in the schedule 3, which is supplies which will be neither be construed to be goods nor services. Earlier, from an FTWZ to an FTWZ was included. Now they have specifically included from an SEZ, supply of goods warehoused in an SEZ or in an FTWZ to any person before clearance of export or DTS shall be treated as neither good. So we all know that there's a high sea sales concept which is available. Now, once the goods have entered into India, high sea sale is no more the concept. However, you can still have a trading, you can have a sale of goods by transfer of title. If that happens and the goods remain in SEZ or FTWZ, no GST is payable on such supply. That is what this clarification is. Okay. So that was a very brief about the budget which has come.
Relief, where up to 60,000 you can take as 87A relief. Here it is mentioned as a except capital gain. Recently, Bombay High Court ruled that 87A relief is applicable for individuals. You cannot impose a difference between the capital gain and the taxable income for individuals. You can apply for all other persons. That is what 17th January judgment has been clearly given. I think 68 pages it has been given. So what is your perception on that?
So the Bombay High Court goes by the understanding which all of us had when we studied taxation, saying when you compute the end liability, it has to be based on slabs. Now, the way Bombay High Court has said, in fact, when we were listening to Nirmala Sitharamanji in the morning, she specifically again mentioned it will not include capital gains. Now, like they have made a change in the GST provision, which they say, notwithstanding any decision, they might bring in this again in income tax. We've of late seen a lot of amendments intended to get over the judgments which have been passed. Could be assessee friendly or could be department friendly, but we have seen this. And again, because when we heard the budget, she specifically indicated, saying it will not include capital gains. So now we'll have to see whether they take that to Supreme Court or make an amendment in law to bring it in line with their understanding.
Because even that relief has been given for only individuals, not for others.
There's a different slab rate. The specific 12 lakh rebate has been given for individuals. And this, to be fair, this gives the understanding which all of us have, saying 12 lakh, all incomes should be included and then you can calculate. But obviously, the government feels the other way around. So.
Okay, thank you then.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Rishabh J, for giving budget analysis. He has come with very short notice. Just we have given some 15 minutes time. He has reached here. So please, applause. Thank you for your commitment, sir. Now I request CMA G.V. Subramanya, former chairman of SIRC, to hand over memento to Rishabh.
As we gather here for the validity session of this regional cost convention on AI, which stands the culmination of 2 days of existing discussion, cost correlation insights, collaborating work. This convention has brought together experts in the fields of cost management, finance and technology, exploring the transformative role of AI in cost optimization, decision making and financial analytics. To mark the conclusion of this enlightening convention, it's a privilege to have with us Dr. CMA Prasanna Kumar Acharya, Director Finance of NLC Limited, Neyveli. May I now request CMA Vishwanath Bhatt, the chairman of this convention, along with CMA Suresh R. Gundali, CCM and convener of this RCC, Rajesh Devi Reddy, Secretary of the Bangalore chapter, our Vice President CMA TCA Srinivas Prasad sir, CMA CN Venkatraman sir, and the former chairman of SIRC CMA Ramesh S. to escort our guest on the stage, please. CMA TCA Srinivas Prasad sir to welcome our chief guest, CMA Dr. Prasanna Kumar Acharya, Director Finance NLC Limited, Neyveli, with a sapling, please. TCA Srinivas Prasad sir with a sapling. CMA Suresh R. Gunjali sir to please take seat on the dais, please. I now request Vishwanath Bhatt sir to welcome CMA Suresh R. Gunjali sir, the convener of this convention, with a sapling. I request CMA Suresh R. Gunjali sir to welcome our former president G.N. Venkatraman sir with a sapling, please. I request our secretary Rajesh Devi Reddy to welcome our chairman of SIRC and chairman of the convention Vishwanath Bhatt sir with a sapling. May I now request CMA Ranjit KR to welcome our secretary CMA Rajesh Devi Reddy with a sapling, please. And I would like to myself take this opportunity to welcome CMA Ramesh S., the former chairman of SIRC. Before we commence the official proceedings of the valedictory session, with a heavy heart, we take a moment today to remember and pay tribute to our own member, CMA B.R. Prabhakar sir, a distinguished professional, an exceptional mentor, and a guiding force in our fraternity. His passing is an irreparable or irreplaceable loss, and not just to the Bengaluru chapter, but to the entire cost and management accounting community. Sri B.R. Prabhakar sir was a science graduate and a fellow member of the Institute of Cost Accounting in India and served the Bengaluru chapter in various capacities. He was a faculty member for the ICMA Bengaluru chapter, specializing in subjects like bookkeeping and accountancy for over a decade. And I'm sure we have a lot of his students in this gathering as well. He was also associated with the chapter as an MC member and held different positions during his tenure. Further, Sir also served as the chairman of SIRC of ICMI during the term 2011-12. He served Government of India and PSUs for 4 decades and retired as General Manager of Finance of HAL, a Navratna PSU under the Ministry of Defence. Post-retirement as well, Sir was active in the profession as a CMA practitioner, partner of PSV Associates, one of the leading cost accounting firms in Bangalore. Sir was also a Sanskrit scholar and had learned a few portions of Yajurveda and Carnatic music from eminent scholars in the field and was deeply interested in Sanskrit literature as well. Sir was a regular participant at the Kuchaka in Avadhanas of Shatavadani, Dr. R. Ganesh and others. Sir was a versatile speaker on Srimad Ramayanam, Sri Shankara Bhagavata Padas Sutras, compositions of Sri Tyagaraja, Sri Muttuswamy, Dikshitar, Dr. DVG, etc. Sir had also authored a book on Mahanarayana Upanishad released in the year 2023. His unwavering commitment to the profession, his humility, and his ever-ready attitude to guide and mentor young professionals will always be remembered. Today, at this convention, we deeply feel his absence, but also celebrate his history he has left behind. Sir had also been actively managing all the meetings held for the preparatory work of this convention. I think a couple of weeks back also he had